Okay, and so in this section, we'll review Tanzu mission control. The preferred method for operating Kubernetes clusters today is to run multiple Kubernetes clusters that are bounded around maybe things like application spaces or aligned with project teams for isolation reasons, for high availability reasons, right? If you have 20 different teams, applications running in one cluster, and there's some fault in that cluster, you've got a challenge there, as well as known running multiple namespaces have known limitations and known vulnerabilities, and so they really don't provide an adequate level of security for regulatory compliance, and the boundaries between clusters that are provided by virtual machines as well in vSphere environments can provide that required isolation between security zones. And so lots of different reasons to need. So for example, like you need to have different types of Kubernetes cluster. You've got test, you've got dev, and you've got prod, and you've got different types of application needs. Perhaps some may need GPU integration, some may have Windows containers, etc. Okay, and so the reality for adopting Kubernetes is that there's growing fragmentation, and so if you're able to adopt one and implement solely on one particular platform, that at least gives you one interface to provide all the policies and all the configurations, to do all the security automation interfacing that you need to do, to get the logging and the metrics and analytics and all these different things you need to do to operate a Kubernetes runtime platform. However, running on one infrastructure provider is simply not a reality for most enterprises. There's various, in addition to things like Kubernetes runtime services, there's also just both from the largest cloud providers to more specialized providers. There's a whole host of software as a service providers that are providing attractive opportunities to business to say, hey, if your application that you're developing or a service that you're providing, we can provide some component of that as a service, and it will be attractive for the business. And so really that comes down to a business decision, and a lot of businesses are deciding, hey, and business teams are deciding it's attractive for this particular application to build leveraging particular service that's available through Azure or Google platform, and there's a genuine business reason behind it. And so businesses are facing significant demand to be able to allow access in a way that provides governance and visibility and doesn't result in application teams accidentally violating regulatory compliance or leaving customer data out on the internet somewhere to be a news story. But being able to be able to allow to provide these types of services, if you have to go and craft security policies, access policies, configuration for each independent service and have expert teams to be able to do each one of those becomes, really incredibly cumbersome, if not, almost a non-starter because of the overall complexity and cost and endeavor to try to ensure that even with lots of resources that specialize in each area, that you're able to provide that consistent, common policy guidance and centralized visibility across all these environments. And as we know, increasing operational burden leads to increased risks. We know over and over again, studies have shown, that lots and lots and a large percentage of IT outages that create significant operational problems in organizations and bear great expense happen from user errors. And we know that this is compounded when you have a lot of primitive interfaces and you have 22 different clusters out there, and you have an admin that's going out and telnetting SSHing into in each one of these independently and trying to eyeball it and make sure that they have the proper configuration. that methodology doesn't result in the ability to provide a stable, robust, and reliable service. You need to have interfaces that are capable of ensuring that centrally reporting and the health of the Kubernetes clusters in ways that actually do an appropriate health check. So that way the organization has constant assurance that the Kubernetes health is optimal, that the services are functioning, and in the event that something is not, that there's proactive notification to be able to handle those issues before they become a problem for the business. And this is, again, where Tanzu Mission Control comes in. So providing this centralized management platform, great view into seeing visibility for all your Kubernetes clusters and health, as well as the really elegant ability to deliver most of the common administrative needs and doing backup, setting policy, etc. And so we have productivity is a huge aspect here, right? You have developers that are coming on board. Some developers only have access to the dev tier. Some will need access to production tiers, and developers may be working on numerous different projects. And at minimum, projects different projects will have different namespaces in the Kubernetes environment, and likely need to work across multiple different clusters. So maybe I'm supporting an application that it may be deployed to be available across multiple different sites. I may need to have access to clusters across multiple different sites to support that, but only subsections within those clusters. And I need to be able to carve those complex types of policies and align them with my organizational roles, right? Tanzu Mission Control, Identity Access, we'll go through this in a little more detail, but has really elegant mechanisms to allow you to create arbitrary groups of different namespaces across different clusters, and align those with your, say, Active Directory, or however you group your Open Identity, LDAP, etc., groupings to be able to quickly align developers into a policy group that allows them to get immediate access to the complex variety of different assets that they may need to get to work quickly and be productive. We can see here an overview of several of the key functional areas of Tanzu Mission Control, from cluster lifecycle management and that ability to deploy and upgrade clusters, and identity and access, this ability for it to take all the clusters, whether it's a cluster that Tanzu Mission Control deployed or whether it is a cluster that was deployed, really any Kubernetes cluster that's out and deployed and has connectivity to Tanzu Mission Control can be easily brought into management by Tanzu Mission Control and have its robust identity and access services applied. So you can have you can create groups of any namespaces, any combinations of namespaces and clusters that a developer or administrator may need that's aligned with their role, that can connect into your LDAP or Active Directory environments and quickly align your LDAP groups with the groups in Tanzu Mission Control that can instantly tie to a global fleet of distributed clusters to really ensure that your developers and administrators have access where they need in a very simple, centralized manner. Security compliance, there's a range of security policies that can be enforced globally across all provisioned and attached clusters, as well as the configuration and automated auditing services of the attached and managed clusters. Data protection to be able to provide centralized administration over the backup, automation of backup runs, and including applying the policies to determine which objects you'd like to back up through Kubernetes and where you'll be backing them up to, and when and how those jobs will run. There is a good there's a good visibility into a health check and like the cluster overall health and availability in Tanzu Mission Control natively. However, to get into deeper observability metrics, deeper troubleshooting, deeper visibility, even application metrics as well, trend, etc. Tanzu Mission Control has integrations with Tanzu Observability by Wavefront. For application and service management, Tanzu Mission Control provides visibility into applications and Kubernetes objects, so the deployments and so on, and have integrations with Tanzu Application Catalog to facilitate application deployment and management. The Tanzu Mission Control has some of the native conformance inspection to ensure that the configuration of the cluster is in alignment with Kubernetes best practices, and that can be tuned by the organization to ensure that cluster configuration is in conformance with organizational policy compliance. And additional optimization services also will be provided through integration with VMware Cloud Health. And for connectivity and traffic management, Tanzu Mission Control's integration with Tanzu Service Mesh provides into the enhanced multi-cluster networking capabilities, networking and security capabilities provided by Tanzu Service Mesh. Here's a glimpse of the Tanzu Mission Control experience. This is a actual screenshot that I took of the cluster view, and we'll take a look at some of the larger interface here. But I wanted to show that here on one screen, the type of information that you can get in a very nice, very simple dashboard here. You can see I have clusters here from Azure, from Google Cloud, on vSphere, on AWS, and for each of them, it's running proactive health monitoring checks. They go through and verify the health of the service. It probes for key information and details like which versions of Kubernetes that are running, how many nodes I have running on each of these clusters, and the availability of resources on the clusters. And I can drill down into each of these clusters to get access to the full suite of information that Kubernetes provides about the cluster performance and availability. And so Tanzu Mission Control really has a very powerful central place that helps to provide kind of a common language and vehicle to have all the different different constituents around a Kubernetes deployment, from infrastructure and operations team to DevOps and applications teams, IT management, et cetera, and to be able to get to leverage in an optimal way to optimize each of their roles, functions. Operations is really the kind of the anchor behind it. However, the application team really needs to be able to have access, right, and to define the application policies. So a project manager for a project can help craft or define who should have access to what within the confines of their particular application project. IT managers may be thinking about things like what's the cost of this particular application or that application, and how can I control those costs by managing the resource allocations that are available and getting a proper fit of those resource allocations and how these are deployed. And finally, developers, right, are really thinking about, I just want the easiest way that I can to be able to get the infrastructure resources that I need to get my application rolled out. And so Tanzu Mission Control really provides just an important baseline that really enables each of these different groups of users and empowers them to have the type of Kubernetes experience that they desire, that makes them the most productive and efficient that they can.